Joining me now on Your Sport Swindon is boxing trainer Paddy Fitzpatrick. Paddy, you had your boxers up at York Hall recently. Sam Smith was fighting, as was Kelvin Young. Luke had a good win as well. But the two guys that have stirred something in the last few days have been Sam and Kelvin. Kelvin obviously lost his fight in what he claims was, controversial terms, and I believe ringside wanted a fight with Sam, and from there, tell us what's happened and if that's a fight that's going to happen.
Well, as far as we're concerned, it's going to happen because Kelvin says he wants it to happen. He said so 3 times now. So we'll take him at his word and that it's going to happen. Sam has been made the main event for November 26th. I signed a deal last week with the Nielsen's. So regardless of who he's facing, he's going to be the main event November 26th. The reason we believe it'll be Kelvin is because he said that's what he wants. That's the fight he wants.
So to Kelvin, from what you're telling me at York Hall, kind of went looking for Sam to say I want that fight straight after his fight.
No, I don't think he went looking for him. He was outside with his coach Liam, and Tasha, who does my PA. She was outside and she went to kind of say, hard luck. It was a good fight. You were doing well, and shame about the stoppage. And when she said that to him, his reply was, "Where's Sam Smith? He's been calling me out all week, so I'll take him on next," which, from a business point of view, is great, isn't it? These are fighting men. It's not like they're going into a pub calling each other out. You're fighting men. You want to fight. That's what you do for a living. So the fact that he says he wants to fight him, Sniper was delighted because he says that's perfect. That's the type of fight I want. So that was it.
Kelvin said to me that obviously disappointed to lose and felt it was an unjust decision. He was appealing the decision. I don't believe you've seen the whole fight back, but
no.
From what you did see, you think it was a fair decision and an appeal that he won't win.
Yeah, he's not going to win that appeal. Not in a month of Sundays. Do I think Kelvin was doing good? Yeah, I do. We were backstage getting Duke ready, so Casper was going to check how the fight was going, and I was going to check just to see how long we had to get Duke ready. I went out there, I think it was around round 6. I went out again around 8, and I went out in round 10. And Kelvin was doing good for me. He was the bits I saw, Kelvin was willing to fight. But it wasn't an unfair decision. He got dropped quite heavy by Morris in the 10th. And he got back up, righted himself, got back to work, but then got hit by 3 or 4 big shots in the middle of the ring, went back to the ropes. And I can see from their point of view, there was only 40 seconds left or whatever, but the referee don't know that. And you got a big, strong man in front of him now who's got you hurt. I don't think it wasn't necessarily a great decision. It wasn't a bad one. You're not going to get anywhere in that in an appeal. There was no big controversy. He got stopped.
And for Kelvin now, this fight against Sam surely makes the most sense. It's going to be the most money, you'd imagine. I don't know what other options he would have off the back of a Southern Area title defeat.
Well, I sat with Keith, his manager, on Monday, so 2 days after the fight, and he said to me, I said, "What's the crack? Are we going to put Sam and Kelvin together?" And he said, "Well, we've got a few options." And I said, "Well, what's your options?" And he went, "Well," and I goes, "Well, what's your options? You got options, what's your options?" He said, "Well, we're appealing it with the board," but even his words were, "But I don't think we're going to get anywhere with that." And he said, Steve Goodwin wants us back up there in September. I said, if Steve Goodwin wants you back up there in September, it's in the role of an opponent. That's what he wants you back up there. You're going to fight 6 rounds and get 1,500 quid and £100 travel, you're 1,600 quid and you're going to be an opponent. That's it. And if you think you got an unjust decision in the last fight, in a title fight, what makes you think you're going to get a just decision over 6 rounds when you're going up as an opponent? That don't even make nonsense. So there's the 2 options. I don't see him having options. And I don't see any big options because the Southern Area title, no disrespect for it, but for anyone that's trying to move forward, that's a stepping stone. Right, I got to this level, now I can go to an English level, now I can go to a British level. It's not the world title, is it? It's not that, I've achieved this and that's good enough for me, I want to retire. So it's not a big fight. It's a fight that puts you in a a bracket to get to other fights to hopefully then get to big fights. A British title fight is a big fight. So where he has 3 or 4 big options now, I don't see it. I don't believe it. I called Steve Goodwin then and said to Steve, Keith is saying that Kelvin has option to come up there in September. Would I be right in saying he's coming up for a 6th round against one of your guys? Yeah, that's what he'd be coming up for. Okay. So that's it. That's where he is. Or against Sniper, who's the main event, regardless who he fights. And then he can become the main event by fighting him.
You know, chuffed that Sniper's going to be main event after just 3 fights in what is now he's saying is his adopted hometown.
I think that's a big achievement for anyone, don't you? It's our biggest venue. He's not from Swindon. This is, like he says, his adopted hometown. But for him to be able to, in just after his 3rd pro fight, come into Swindon and get made main event, and Duke is the chief support, that's an achievement. And again, it's not a huge achievement because we're after British and European and above. But it's a big achievement for this point in his career. It's an opportunity for him this early in his career to realise that being the main event isn't that big a deal. To do 10 rounds, because he does them in the gym all the time, isn't that big a deal. It's an opportunity just to tick a box. The same way as Duke went abroad in his 2nd fight. A week after his pro debut, he fought in Germany in front of 5,000 people. In his 3rd fight, he was main event. It's just so you can get a fighter to realise this isn't a big deal. It's as big a deal as you make in your head. It's still a fight. You do 10 rounds in the gym. Who cares if it's 10 rounds in a venue? You can perform in the gym. You can perform in 4 6-round fights. The fact that it's 10-round fight in your main event ain't no big difference. So it's only just to tick a box. But from a point of view of there's guys with bigger name promoters not getting these opportunities, that says a lot for him.
It's definitely a step in the right direction. And over the last few days, you know, on social media, Sam's new to Facebook as well, isn't he? And he's causing a stir already because obviously both Sam and Kelvin have been exchanging words, and it does. You get the feel the fight is going to happen, don't you? From what's been said by both parties.
Well, if you take what both parties have said as they've said it, then the fight's definitely happening. He's definitely the main event because I have a contract in place that he's the main event. So regardless, he's main event. He has said that he would like to fight Kelvin on November 26th. So regardless, that's what he said. He'll stick by it. Kelvin has said 3 times. So let's forget the fact he said it to Tash. We weren't there then, so we can't comment on that. I've no reason to disbelieve Tash. I've known her 8 years. She works in the gym. She does PA for the gym. There's no reason why she'd have just come out and made that up. But forget that and let's look at facts. You can see Kelvin writing himself. I've got options, but you're the fight I want. I'm meeting with my team tonight, but you're the fight I want. So there's 2 separate comments at 2 separate times where he says, that's the fight I want. So if I'm going to take him at his word, that fight's happening. We have a venue. They're already guaranteed main event because Sniper is main event. So if he fights him, that makes him main event. So we're guaranteed main event status. We have a date. We have a venue. We have 2 fighters that say they want to fight each other. As far as I'm concerned, we have a fight.
So how long now do you think it'll take before, you know, something's signed between the pair?
Well, like I said, we're signed.
In terms of Kelvin putting pen to paper, then to fight Sam.
We don't care either way. In after 3 fights, he's the main event over all these rounds. He's the main event in his adopted hometown. We don't care. It doesn't matter who he fights. He's going to fight somebody in the top 20 regardless. So I don't care. Personally, for me, I don't care if it's Kelvin. I don't care who it is. Personally, for him, I don't think he cares who it is. He says he'd like Kelvin because he wants to fight somebody in the top 20. Kelvin's ranked number 19. He's ranked number 23. And it makes it more interesting if he's already main event to fight somebody from Swindon. But for me, from a point of view of progressing him, I don't care who he fights. As far as that, there's another 3 men I'm looking at that are of interest to me for where he is at the moment. But as far as the fight being made, until he signs it, it's not made. But we don't care if it is or not.
In terms of promotion and selling tickets, having the name Kelvin Young from Swindon, in Swindon, fighting Sam, is definitely the best option, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but purely because it's a guy from Swindon, not because it's Kelvin. It's not like Kelvin is selling 10,000 tickets at a venue or something like that. Kelvin is a popular guy. Kelvin has proven himself. Kelvin has proved his quality and proved where he is as a fighter. So I got full respect for him. He's got full respect for him. This stuff that's happening on social media, to me, that's quite good, because years ago, so long as it's done right, sometimes it's done in bad taste, but so long as it's done right, it gives these fighters opportunities to make fights without having to believe that their promoters and managers are actually really trying to make them. Years ago, you'd have had to believe that they had conversations with the other camp and that they were trying to put it together. You don't have to believe that no more. You can do what he did yesterday and send an open letter to Kelvin, inviting him to join him as the main event. So, Kelvin is a Swindon fighter. He has achieved an IBO International, a Southern Area title. He's 18 wins, 6 losses, 2 draws. He's ranked number 19 in Britain. He's achieved far more than Sniper's achieved yet. Sniper's achieved 3 fights as a pro. He's fighting his 4th fight in September up in York Hall. So Kelvin will be his 5th fight. So as far as that's concerned, having him face Kelvin is good for the venue. Good for Nielsen Brothers to be promoting the show. But regardless, that card's going to sell out anyway. But it'll just sell out to a different crowd. Duke is in there. He's going to be in a good fight. So he's the chief support. He's going to be fighting somebody in the top 20 anyway. The card itself, you got the likes of Ryan Martin and all that. I'm guessing will be on the undercard. I don't know. That's between his manager and Nielsen's. But I'm saying there's quality. We now have a town full of quality fighters. Nielsen Brothers do put on quality shows. They did before they went into the pro game, and their first dipping their toes in the pro game with Kelly's WBC Silver, they put on an excellent show. They know how to promote. The town is full of quality fighters. He's the main event, going to be in a good fight. And Duke, that there's a buzz around, ever increasing buzz, is going to be chief support. The card's going to sell out anyway. So I don't care if it sells out to this group or sells out to that group. I don't care.
If it is Kelvin, on your part and for Sam, with bearing in mind Kelvin's record, how much of a gamble is it, just 3 fights in, with his undefeated record, to take on someone that's achieved what Kelvin has and got the experience that he's got?
It's a gamble, but if I thought it was... Every fight's a gamble. But if I thought it was a gamble that was a step too far at the moment, I wouldn't be taking it. I think he beats Kelvin all day long. So I don't see that as being such a big gamble in that direction. It's a gamble because will he, with the lack of experience, keep his composure, knowing that he's main event? Or will all that get to him in the build-up? Will he keep his composure when he steps in there and he's thinking, got to do 8-10 rounds here, when he's doing 6 or 8 in September? Will he think, I start too quick and fade after 2-3 rounds because the emotions get him? Will he start too slow, trying to save something in his tank and not do enough early on? Do you understand me? So there's questions going to be asked to him on the night that haven't been asked to him before. There's questions going to be asked to Kelvin on the night that Kelvin's answered. He's been the main event before. He's been in title fights. So composure-wise, you would say Kelvin knows he can handle it because he's done it before. He doesn't know yet because he hasn't done it before. But these aren't, I don't take a step with a fighter from here and jump him up here. I might jump 2 or 3 steps, but it's only because I've seen the answers in the gym and I believe that they can give me those same answers they do in the gym when the lights are on them. Duke was main event in his 3rd fight, and his 4th fight, and his 6th fight. Do you understand me? So, and he's answered all those questions. And I believe, by what I see of him, he's going to answer them too.
Could this fight, be a Southern Area eliminator or something like that? I don't believe there's going to. Well, I don't believe that you want a title on the line, because it'd only be one of these challenge bouts, and you're not a fan of those anyway. So
I'm not a fan of those. No, I believe that he's going to be a British champion. I believe he's going to be a European champion. And I believe he has what it takes to be a world champion. He's 22 years old. He's 22 years old. So there's no reason why taking his time and going another 2 years of education to get to the British. It's not like we're trying to jump into the top 20, to jump into the top 10, to jump into the top 5, and in the space of 5 fights or 4 or 5 fights be fighting for British titles. I want him to know the level he's at. He has shown me in the gym the level he's at. So I want to get him to that level in the rankings, because the difference between believing something and knowing something is vast. You can believe anything about yourself. Until you've done it, you don't know it. All of a sudden, when you know it, you become a different dude. That brings more out in you. I know he beats Kelvin. I know he beats another 3 of those men in the top 20. So I want to get him to the top 20, that he knows what he believes. That's what I want to do. Then he's going to have a couple of educational fights to bring through different aspects of his development. Then we'll take somebody else on, so that he knows he's at that level. But it still doesn't mean there's any rush.
Could it be a 7 Area title eliminator though?
It possibly could. We got to talk to the board on that. He's going to fight a 6, possibly an 8 in September, but definitely a 6. And there's no reason why you can't go from a 6 to a 10-round final eliminator for a Southern Area then. Lawrence Bennett was fighting over 6 rounds and then got the opportunity to fight for a Southern Area. So if they've allowed one man to do it in the same town, there's no reason why they can't let another man to do it in the same town. And Lawrence got his opportunity, I believe, in his 5th fight. Might have been his 6th in his 5th fight. So he's going to do it in his 5th fight. So there's no reason why that can't happen at all.
And reflecting on that night at York Hall and Sam's performance, very, very pleased with it.
Very pleased, because he took on David Sipos, who he'd only been stopped, I believe, by Anthony Yardy. And he stopped him. And he didn't stop him because he was overwhelming him with shots and the referee jumped in. He stopped him because he couldn't go on. He hurt him. He was backing him up, continuously hurting him with straight shots. Then he got him in trouble. I believe he dropped him. And the referee came in, gave do the count. He attacked him straight away again, hit him to the head and body. And then the body shot took his legs away. Because even after the referee, he couldn't go on. The referee did stop it. Good minute and a half later, in the corner, his legs were still bit. He was still bending over and trying to straighten up, He hurt him.
I believe that's Sam's first stoppage as well, is that right?
He's only had 3 fights.
Even I was trying to remember
The
that.
other time he stopped was on the way to the venue in the car. Well, that was his first stoppage, but you'll see that he has more power than he has yet displayed. Don't forget, he had 2 very tough learning fights in his first fights. But I like the guys to learn something about themselves early on, rather than having a load of soft touches the whole way through and then hoping they can pull it off when they get the opportunity. He's going to know enough after the next fight, so he knows now he can sit inside and go to the body. He did it in the whole camp with David Bailey and with Duke. So if he can do it with those 2 men, because David's relentless and Duke is so strong, he knew he could do it in the fight. He fully believed he did it. Now he knows he can, because he actually stopped the dude by going to the body. Whereas before, he was used to be a headhunter. Then the fight in September is going to bring through a little bit more. And then when he's topping the card in November, he's going to know things that he didn't know before the last fight.
And a little mention for Luke, who also notched a win on that bill.
He done excellent. He's growing every time. I think the last fight, even though he didn't get the stoppage, that didn't surprise me, because the guy had fought Eamon at middleweight. Eamon fought him in his pro debut. But the dude turned pro just after his 18th birthday, so he was still a boy. He's 24 now. And if you look at him now, you'd wonder how he made middleweight, because he's not like some dude who's out of shape at cruiserweight. He's a good, strong cruiserweight. There's no way that dude could make light heavyweight. Since he's moved up to cruiserweight, he hasn't been stopped at all, and he's fought in Canada, Italy, France, so he's been around fighting the guys. So that fight wasn't about stopping him. I picked that dude because I wanted Duke to do more inside, up close. And I knew the defense that dude has, cupping his hands to the side. And if you look at the videos, there's 3 or 4 videos of that dude online, you see that he works very well inside. He'll whip to head and body. So it was to bring that through in Duke. And he performed very well. He cut the ring off well, went to the body well, bossed it with the jab. I was pleased.
And will Luke be out September time prior to that November show as well?
Duke is out in September and then again November. And God willing, everything going right, he'll finish the year by 11-0. He's already ranked number 7 in Britain. I'm not in a hurry now to push him up any more before Christmas. With the 2 wins, I think he'll naturally nudge up a space anyway. If everyone above him, if there's 2 or 3 of them that don't have fights, and he has 2, chances are he'll nudge up one anyway. If he doesn't nudge up one, and his next 2 fights just hold him strong at number 7, I'll be pleased with that, because Tony Bellew, he's a world champion, so he's not in the mix of it. Oval McKenzie, he's going to be fighting Marco Hook, so he's not in the mix of it. Then you got Matty Askin will probably be fighting Tommy McCarthy for the vacant British. And then you got Craig Kennedy, who's going to be busy somewhere else. So 2 or 3 of those men are going to take care of each other and clear the path and open it up. So we're not in a hurry. Make sure we hold our ground, see what's happening ahead, and then we'll walk through the middle when they clean up, they sort out their little domestics between them, and we'll come up a bit later on. There's no hurry. And don't forget, he's had 9 fights. So I'm content. We're in a great place to not have a big promoter behind us and to be up to number 7 in Britain after 9 fights. We're doing very good.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Paddy, as always, for joining us, and we look forward to hearing whether Calv takes the fight or not very, very soon.
Either or.
Cheers, buddy.
Good man.
Thank you.